Oh, look, it's my friends. Welcome to the O Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, CW, and today we're talking about The Undertaker and the idea of wrestlers who do not need titles. The Undertaker is the GOAT. I think that's a full stop statement. There is no one better than The Undertaker. He's had some terrible matches. He's had some bangers. He's had epic, legendary moments in WWE. But he is, for all intents and purposes, the greatest professional wrestling performer of his time, possibly of all time, greatest of all time, GOAT. And with that comes the distinction that he wasn't a great title holder, in my personal opinion. And that has nothing to do with his ability to carry the title or even carry the company. I think Undertaker proves or has proven that he carried the company without even being on screen. The Undertaker was an attraction. He was a spectacle. He was the main event. For years, Undertaker main evented WrestleMania. Regardless of who was the last match on the card, the main event of WrestleMania was 150,000% whoever was wrestling The Undertaker. Didn't matter. That man main evented every WrestleMania that he was at. And it had nothing to do with the title. His character, to me, did not need a title. He was the thing people wanted. They wanted the cachet. They wanted to beat The Undertaker so they can say they beat The Undertaker. It was a badge of honor greater than any gold belt that you can strap around your waist. I spoke to Dad's First Time, shout out Dad's First Time, twitch.tv/Dad's First Time, about this briefly, but we've always been in agreement that The Undertaker never truly needed a title. It actually didn't feel right if he had the belt. If you think back to any time The Undertaker had the title, it almost felt like a downgrade. He didn't seem like the type of person who needed a title. He was ethereal. He was the phenom. He was otherworldly. In a world of ridiculous gimmicks, he was the gold standard for ones that worked, right? He was above titles. So yeah, I don't know if The Undertaker ever truly needed the title, but he definitely was the title. Does that make sense? He was the championship. There's a reason why his streak was so prolific. It went on for so long, and so many people were so upset when Brock Lesnar took that from us. Not from him. He took the streak from us. It wasn't a thing to The Undertaker, as far as I can tell. He spoke to Vince at the time, and Vince said, "Who else would take it from you?" And I don't even think he agreed. He was just like, "Fine, it's your company. Do whatever you want." But to us, that was the title. The title was the streak. His streak was his belt that he strapped around his waist, and he carried for so many years. There are very few professional wrestlers I think can fall into that same category of a person who can be an attraction and not need a title to get over or need a title to be the main guy or the top guy. I think a lot of professional wrestlers actually have proven that they do need the title to get over. I think The Rock, for all his pomp and circumstance and how much people love him and all his promos, The Rock he didn't have a ton of memorable matches. He had a ton of memorable segments and a cavalcade of memorable interactions with people like Stone Cold or Kane or The Rock or Hulk Hogan or whomever. But The Rock truly did need the title around his waist to make him the top guy. When he didn't have the title, he was, always chasing that. And he was always in the running. But if he didn't have the belt, he wasn't the top guy. He was just a guy. The guy. He was a guy. He was never in the mid card, but he was never He needed that title. It made him The Rock. It justified all the, bluster. It justified all the big talk, all the silk shirts and the slippery shoes. When you put that title around his waist, then it made sense. Stone Cold, another guy who probably didn't need the title all that often, but only because for the relatively brief time he was on top, Stone Cold was in the greatest feud in professional wrestling history. He was the top guy because he got to beat up the boss. So when he had the title was less of him being, the champion and more of him sticking it to Vince. So when he didn't have the title, he was still selling out arenas. He was the best. His character didn't really need the title because everyone was just on his side. Everyone identified with Stone Cold. Everyone wanted to stun their boss. So he got over on a completely different level. Again, not as big as The Undertaker, but Stone Cold is now a spectacle, I think. I think if you were to look back on his time when he wasn't champ in his heyday, he also was chasing the belt. He wanted the championship. But when he didn't have it, I mean, the glass would shatter and people would freak the hell out. But I was sitting here before recording this episode trying to come up with a ton of wrestlers who kind of fit that bill. And I honestly couldn't think of a ton. I thought of Stone Cold, I thought of Undertaker, and Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is on track to be that. I think Bray Wyatt should never get a title with the stuff that he's doing. I think it doesn't make sense for the character to even want material things. Of all the talk and all the kind of ethereal and otherworldly comments he makes, and Uncle Howdy and the fun house that exists in some weird alternate universe within the arena, and he's taking over Alexa Bliss's mind, and he's doing all these other crazy things that honestly should not be happening in the real world. For him to then say, I want that material, that belt, it doesn't make sense for his character, and it brings his character down a couple notches. Now, that being said, he has to win. Undertaker won a lot, and Undertaker was a spectacle because of that. And I think their little moment at Raw 30, for whatever The Undertaker told him, I hope it was something like, good luck with this booking, because you're going to need it. Because come Saturday at Royal Rumble, he's doing another weird gimmick match that has something to do with lights. We saw the red light match. Now he's going to be in the no light match. I don't know. Maybe he has neon lights. Who knows? But he needs to beat LA Knight. He needs to beat him bad. We need some closure or some movement on this Uncle Howdy thing, and hopefully that will propel him into a space where, again, he doesn't need a belt or a title to get over, and he can just be the spectacle. I think that's what the moment was for him and The Undertaker. It was not so much passing the torch of like, you're the next Undertaker, but more, you're the next attraction. You're the big attraction that people are going to want. And maybe he can have his own moments at WrestleMania where he has some sort of gimmick match. I think Bray Wyatt needs his own, like Undertaker had the casket match and Infernal match, I would say. No, that was Kane's. He had the casket match. Bray Wyatt needs his own gimmick, like special gimmick match. Maybe it's in the Firefly Funhouse. Nah, keep it in the ring. Anyway, what wrestlers do you think transcended the titles? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate your time. Make sure to hit that bell, subscribe, get notified when there are new episodes up on YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on any and all podcasting platforms. Thank you so much for listening to the O Wrestling Podcast. I'm off to do back, but don't you ever forget,
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah.